Magic 99.5. I'm Doug DeRocher along with Steph Duran. Happy Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday is a great day just after we finish being thankful for all the things we have in our life. Now it's time to maybe turn around and bless other people with some good things that they need to help.
Yeah, and Giving Tuesday this year with American Heart Association, we are lucky enough to have the big speakers who know exactly what they're talking about. Sherry Wells, she is the executive director of the American Heart Association of New Mexico. And we also have Dr. Andrew Harrell. He's an emergency medicine physician in the University of New Mexico School of Medicine. Thank you both for joining us today.
Hi, Steph. Hi, Doug. Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Great to see you guys. It's Giving Tuesday, and we're here on behalf of the American Heart Association. Now, let me ask you guys, how has the American Heart Association made an impact during the COVID-19 epidemic over the past year?
Well, so Steph and Doug, I think, there's a lot that the American Heart Association has been doing over the last, now, what are we sneaking up almost on 2 years, as the case may be, during this pandemic. I think a couple of things that is really important for people to be aware of that we've seen over the course of the pandemic. Obviously, the individuals that suffer from disease processes that the American Heart Association is very focused on. So people with high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity, and have underlying heart disease as well, have been much more vulnerable to the symptoms and the complications related to the COVID-19. And because of those impacts, AHA has really worked hard to investigate the implications from all of those disease processes and folks within that have had infections from COVID-19. There's been about $3 million that the AHA has invested over the last 18 to 20 months, looking into these ties and trying to come up with ways that help us improve outcomes for individuals that suffer from the cardiovascular effects of the diseases that the AHA has always been focused on working on and improving the outcomes for.
Right, and I also love that that is the American Heart Association of New Mexico. So you guys are very focused on what is going on in our communities too.
Yeah, and Sherry, you want to I think that's important to make sure that there's the international AHA, and then there are regional AHAs, which is what we work with. And Sherry can speak a little bit about that for a second.
Right. Thank you, Drew, Dr. Drew. So you're exactly right, Steph. What I love about the work here at American Heart New Mexico is the work that we do on the ground throughout the state. Right here in Albuquerque, we have hosted several virtual community conversations to reach thousands of community partners and concerned citizens, focusing mostly on mental well-being. We know that across the country, but also here in New Mexico, depression and anxiety rates are increasing as New Mexicans worry about money, work, family, responsibilities, and other stressors brought on by the pandemic.
Yes.
We all know how important or how huge an effect a heart disease has on everyone. It's the number one cause of death here in New Mexico. But the stress alone with being sick is its own health problem, isn't it?
Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
No, I was going to say you're exactly right about that. Sorry, Drew. You're right about that, and I find it just escalating. We hear business leaders talking about it and looking for ways to use our resources to help their workers, their employees, their families. But that is a really strong point.
Well, you mentioned mental health, especially during the pandemic. I wanted to ask you, what do you guys think about that heart, mind, body connection? Is there something to that?
So I would for sure, Steph and Doug, I mean, there is certainly, if you look at those three entities, so an individual's well-being from a mental health standpoint, which we all can appreciate has been exceedingly difficult. Isolation, right? We might not all have on pants because we don't have to go to work, and we lose, well, y'all two are together. So, but Sherry and I, in our work with the AHA of New Mexico, has seen I think the loss of those connections that we took for granted for the longest time. It was just a given, right? You were going to get up. It was Monday. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to see everybody over the course of the week. And we've really had all of the normal events and the normal interactions really taken away from us. And I think in an appropriate fashion, trying to keep a pandemic at bay. But when you deal with, I think, the impacts psychiatrically and psychologically
Yeah.
that we've missed out on, I've seen it at work for sure, in terms of the increased incidence of people feeling very isolated, having increased depression. And there's really that three-way relationship that ties psychological health along with heart and cardiovascular health and just overall health in general. And that's I think oftentimes overlooked and underappreciated. And I think the pandemic and the effects that has had within everyone's lives in the lack of social interaction. And that's really been something that was an unexpected outcome, because we really were just trying to keep people from getting sick,
Yeah.
and unexpected outcomes from trying to take steps to keep people safe.
Yeah, and I love that with the mind body connection. When people talk about that, sometimes it sounds a little woo, but there's really something to that. Your mindset affects how you feel.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that people, Steph, that don't think about is that people with fairly significant depressive syndromes and depression in general, they're on average about 3 times more likely to suffer a heart attack than patients that don't have that. So there really is a mind-body connection that goes into it. And it doesn't just have to deal with mental health. It also, from an equity standpoint, unfortunately, women are about twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression. And if you compound the likelihood of increased complications on your physical well-being with depression symptoms, then obviously that's going to have a larger impact on the female population that suffers from that.
Well, yeah, and it's, as a woman who has extremely high blood pressure, I know that it's important. Yeah, breathe. Like that stuff really actually is important and has an impact.
It does. And if you think about it, if you have chronic conditions at baseline, then that might predispose you already to having a little bit more of a likelihood of having some depressive symptoms associated with just having to deal with your physical well-being. And I think it's important for people to make sure, right, that mind-body connection, address both areas. And right, whether you think it's woo-woo or not, if it helps improve your overall health, that's important to be mindful of.
Absolutely. And that's also why it's so important for people to give on this Giving Tuesday.
Yes.
Now, we've teamed up with some very generous local donors. Every donation that you make today is going to be matched. All you have to do is go to our website, magic995abq.com.
That's a 2-for-1 return on your investment, people.